This next question was actually one I think a lot of you are quite scared of, but so let's demystify this a little bit. We've got the favourite book club, and what they've got is they've got members, and members pay subscriptions. So we've got a subscriptions account here. Oops. And basically we've got to follow through that subscriptions account. Again, on the subscriptions account, we've got a debit side and a credit side. The debit side, this side, is, well, subscriptions account, that's an income account. So we would expect to build on this side because this is income coming in on the credit side for income. So the debit side is a decrease in that income, or a decrease in subscriptions. So what we've got at the start, we better put the date in first. In this question, you actually get 1 mark for the date, so that's quite nice. So put 2022 at the start of both. And we've got some balances to start with. So the balances will be the 1st of Jan. And it's on both sides because you'll see here that we've got subscriptions in advance and subscriptions in arrears. So these are opening balances. These subscriptions in advance are basically last year's payments for this year. So we've actually got a balance from last year of people that have paid for this year. It belongs to this year, so we're putting it into this account. Subscriptions and arrears are payments that are going to be made this year for revenue from last year. So it comes out of this year and into last year's accounts because it belongs to last year. People are owing us. What have we got? 468. Hopefully you get that one. So this one here belongs to last year. It's in arrears. When they do pay us, they're paying last year's accounts. So it can't go in this year's revenue. This one here is ones that we paid last year but belong to this year. So it's actually this year's revenue. So we've got those balances to start off with. And of course we'll have some closing balances at the end. So that's the hard bit probably to start and probably put some of you off. But let's do some easy bits. The easy bits is on this side here, we're just looking for anything to do with subscriptions. So if it's not subscriptions, we're not worrying about it in this account. We see we've got subscriptions received. So when that's money's received, we'll put it at the end of the year. And how's that received? Is it going to be through services or is it going to be through cash? Because it's cash, we're going to type bank. Right, and we've received that figure 5356. Alright, then we go searching for other things we know about subscriptions. So we've got that one. We don't have to do any of these at the moment. The club had 128 members. That will tell us what our subscription revenue should have been. Treasurer is aware of 4 current members that will not pay their 2022 subscriptions. So will that increase or decrease? In actual fact, before we answer that question, we'll actually put what our income actually is. So we'll put our 31st of December. And our income goes to the income and expenditure account. We're closing it here because we need to start next year without our income in here. Expenditure. And this figure is going to be equal. We had 120 members. Multiplied by $52. So that's our income that's going to be closed off. The problem with this one is that we've got, out of that we've got 4 members that are not going to pay. So it's got to be minused from here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put subscription write-off. Sort of like a bad debt, and that's equal to 4 members times 52. So we've got 2 things going at income and expenditure. This one here, which is our income, and this one here, which is basically a bad debt, if you like. So we've pretty much done that, and we're just after the closing balances, really. We've got the subscriptions in advance, so and subscriptions in arrears. The subscription in arrears are what have we got? Subscriptions in arrears 468. No, sorry, 1040. and we'll just type that balance. Carry forward. So we're putting it on the side here because it belongs in this year, even though it's going to be paid next. And so the opposite, we'll go over here, balance. So this one here is subscriptions that we've paid in advance. Doesn't belong in this year, so we're going to transfer it into next year. And that figure there is 156. So that one there. Total up. And these should balance. Yay, they do. And then the last thing, make sure you put the year on here. So we've got 2023 and the 1st of Jan. And we're just going to put that balance BD. And remember they go across here. So this one here, and that one there. Awesome. And on to question B. Okay, question B asks you to prepare the income and expenditure account for the ending 31st of December 2022. So basically, because it's a club, but they're not going to end up with a profit, they're going to end up with either a deficit or a surplus, because the idea is to serve the members, not to make a profit. So we're going to start off with our income. And the one income we have is subscriptions. And this is the figure that is your revenue account. Going to put it into the last column, and we decided that it was going to be that figure there. Alright, and even if you haven't done that other one, it's going to be 120 members multiplied by 52, gives you this figure here. There we go, less expenses. Two of them are relatively easy. That is going to be your rent. Remember, we don't write rent paid, we just write rent, insurance, and general expenses. And we've got the other ones is subscriptions written off. So some of these are relatively easy, but we've just got a balancing figure of the insurance. So the insurance, we're going to need to adjust that figure. So let's do the easy one first. The rent is just a figure that's given us to 080. The general expenses is given to us. Subscriptions written off. That were the 4 members, 4 times 52. And the insurance is a little bit tricky. So the insurance, we had paid in advance. So that was paid from last year. So it is an expense this year. So we're going to go equals 348, because that belongs this year, not last year. We're going to add what we've paid this year, which is 732. And we're going to minus what's paid in advance for next year, because it belongs to next year. So we're going to minus that 366. Good idea if you write that in here. So see that formula I've got? If you can write that in here, equals 348 plus 732 minus 366. You actually get a mark for each one of those steps. So it's quite well worth doing that. We'll add up our total expenses. And because expenses are lower than the income, we're going to say surplus for the year. Our income minus our expenses, surplus. They'll be happy they got a 740 surplus. Brilliant. That's another 6 marks. So 6 marks plus 7 marks, that's 13 marks. A relatively hard question. We get on to the easy questions next. So the next question that you've asked is, advise the treasurer whether she should fund the purchase of a computer by increasing subscription, justify by making points for and against. So that means you need to do at least 2 points for and at least 2 against in order to get your 5 marks here. So the first thing again, the treasurer is considering increasing the subscription amount in order to obtain funds to purchase a computer equipment. The equipment will cost $400 and be used to maintain the club records. Now $400, just as a calculation, I know it says don't do calculations, but if we've got 120 members, so basically it's $3.33 a member to fund that equipment. So I'm going to say yes, they should do it. The other thing is that how else would we pay for that computer? And maybe that's a loan. If there's a loan, there's going to be interest cost on that as well. So yes or no, you could fund it through a loan and pay that off during the year, or you could pay it by the subscriptions. What do you reckon? So your answer, either's right. Let's choose the one to say no. So again, you get a mark for making a recommendation. So recommendation, easiest mark you can get. No, don't increase subscriptions. Right, and making, so the 4 increasing. Let's say number 1, it's only a small amount per member. Remember we did that $3.33 for 1 year only. And what else? Can we say interest for? Well, actually, so we'll put that as a 2. Because once they've done that, they've paid for it. Against. May lose members. And maybe there are other costs. With computers. Right, so that's basically all you have to do for that one. The last part, D. D asks you state the meaning of the following terms. So receipts and payments account. So what is that? It records all cash in and out of the club in a year to show the change in bank. So basically you've got your receipts, you list those, your payments, you list those. That gives you a surplus or deficit of cash. You add that to the beginning bank account and it gives you your ending bank account. And club members want to know how come the bank account's gone up or down. Second one is accumulated fund. And the reason I didn't see one person who actually got this right when I marked the exam, because this one's actually so simple. It's just like, what does equity mean? And it's just assets less liabilities of a club. So it's what's owned as equity, assets less liabilities. Finished, done. Good, on to question 4.